We're going to be making a gorgeous jewelry set which includes a necklace with an elephant pendant. If you're interested, keep watching. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. If you're new, a huge welcome to you. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. Are you an animal lover? Do you like elephants? Have you been on safari? This is the video for you. We're going to be making that gorgeous jewelry set that you saw a few moments ago. It includes a necklace, a pair of earrings, and a couple of bracelets. And they're stretch bracelets, so they're very easy to make. Now, if you're a beginner, you might have a little bit of trouble making simple loops, but I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. You have to start somewhere, and practice makes perfect, so with time, you'll get better and better. We're going to be using the beads that came in the Curated Bead box for the month of March 2023. The name of the box is Agate, and if you're not familiar with Curated Bead box, I'll leave a link down below to the website so you can go check it out. I'll also leave some information down in the description section of this video. If you'll scroll down, you'll see it. And as always, I will leave some timestamps as well in case you want to skip forward to any portion of the video. Now, before we get started, if you're new and you like my content, please think about subscribing to my channel. And if you have a little bit of time, I would really love it if you could leave some comments down below and let me know what you think of today's tutorial. Also, don't forget that I always model my pieces, so if you stick around till the end, you'll see it. So without any further ado, let's go ahead, turn the camera around, and we'll get started. And here we have Curated Bead box for the month of March 2023. The name of the box is Serengeti. Let's go ahead and select the beads. What inspired today's necklace is this gorgeous pendant. I really love the detail of this pendant, and I like elephants, so I thought I would use it in today's design. It measures 46 by 54 millimeters, so it's pretty big, but I think it's going to look nice with the beads that I'm going to be selecting today. I'm going to be using these gemstones. I'm not sure what kind of gemstone it is, but I'm thinking it's agate. But I love the combination of the gray tones, the white, and the little bit of tan that I'm seeing on some of the beads. And these measure 8 millimeters in size. I'm going to be using these beads here. These are 6 millimeter size beads, and these are marble style glass beads, and the color is sandy brown. I'll be using these spacer beads. As you can see, they're in a silver color, and these measure 6 millimeters in size. I'll be using a couple of beads from this mix here to make a pair of earrings. If we have time, I'll make a bracelet as well, and I'll use one of these giraffe charms. We'll be using several items from the Finding Starter Kit, and that's it from this box. I'm going to be using some wire, and this is artistic wire. You can use any brand, I'm not really picky about the brand, but this is 18 gauge and it's in a silver color. So now that we've picked the beads, I'm going to remove them from the strands and we'll get started. We're going to start by building some beaded components, and they will form the strands of the necklace. As you can see, I've already cut myself some wire, and I've already looped some of them ahead of time, but I have a couple of pieces that aren't looped because I'm going to be showing you how to do a simple loop for those of you who don't know, or if you're a beginner. We're going to be building 3 kinds of beaded components. Some will have 3 beads, and some will have just 1 single bead. For the component with a single bead, you'll need some pieces of wire that are at least 1 1/4 inch long, and that's what I have here. And on this side, I have some longer pieces, and those are going to be for the components with the 3 beads. And I recommend that you cut yourself pieces that are at least 2 inches long for those. So let me show you how we're going to build these. We'll start with a beaded component with the 3 beads. I'm going to be making myself some large loops, so I'm going to grab my wire about 1/2 inch down, and I'm going to kink it. And now to form my simple loop, I'm going to grab the tip with my round nose pliers, making sure that it's flush. And now I'm simply going to turn my pliers to form a loop. You want to make sure that you close your loop nicely, and you want to make sure that that loop is sitting straight on that piece of wire. Just like that. And now I'm going to thread on one of these. This is the silver spacer, one of the agate beads, and another silver spacer, just like that. And now I'm going to grab the wire right where the bead is, line up the bottom loop, kink it. With my flush cutters, I'm going to cut off the excess, leaving myself about 1/2 inch. And now I'm going to form another loop at this end, so I'm going to grab the wire, making sure that it's flush. And I'm simply going to loop it. And that's what you should have. It's a good idea to level out your loops. Mine are usually pretty level, but sometimes they're a little bit off. I thought I would insert this little tip. When forming your second loop, you want to make sure you leave a little bit of space right below where your pliers are so you can kink your wire, otherwise the bead will be in the way when you go to form your kink, just like that. So that's your first beaded component. Let me show you the second one. For the second one, we're going to thread one of these on, another agate bead, and another marble style bead. Once again, I'm going to grab the wire right where the bead is, line up the bottom loop, kink it, snip off the excess, grab the end with my round nose pliers, making sure that it's flush, and loop it. Just like that. Let me level out my loops. So here are 2 beaded components, and now I'm going to show you the third type. The third type is just going to have 1 bead, and it's going to have one of these marble style glass beads. Once again, I'm going to grab the wire right where the bead is, kink it, snip off the excess, grab the end with my round nose pliers, and give it a loop. Let me make sure the loops are level. So these are the 3 beaded components we're going to be making today. These larger ones are going to sit right by the pendant, and these smaller ones are going to be at the top of the necklace. I'm going to be building 6 of these with a silver spacer, 4 of these with the marble style glass beads, and I'm going to be building 12 of these with a 6mm marble style glass bead. Now obviously, if you want your necklace to be longer, you're going to need more beaded components. It's completely up to you. So to save time, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the film, and I'll see you in a few moments. As you can see, I've completed my beaded components and I've arranged them the way I want them. I had to arrange them like this so that they would fit within the frame of the camera, but I haven't connected them yet. As you can see, I have the larger ones at the bottom of the necklace and I have the smaller ones at the top. At the bottom, I started with a beaded component with silver spacers. The next one has the marble style glass beads, and then another one with silver spacers, and another one with marble style glass beads, and then I ended with silver spacers. And each one of them has an 8mm agate bead in the middle. I didn't want to use just silver spacers on the 8mm size beads because I wanted to tie in the top of the necklace with the bottom. So that's why I decided to use the marble style glass beads on some of the longer beaded components. I think it's nice to alternate them, but obviously you can have whichever configuration of beads you want. So now I'm going to form 2 strands by connecting these beaded components, and that's pretty easy. I'm going to open up this loop, take the next beaded component, connect it, and close up the loop. Once again, I'm opening up the loop. I'm going to connect the next one and close it up. And that's all there is to it. So I'm going to keep going until I connect both strands. As you can see, I've connected both strands, and here's my pendant. So now we just need to connect the strands to the pendant. Let me open up this loop, connect the pendant, close it up, and now I'm going to open up this loop, connect it to the pendant, and close it up. I think it's looking really cute so far. Now I do want to add an embellishment to this pendant. If you'll notice, there's a little space there for a bead. Ideally you would want to put a cabochon there, but unfortunately I don't have any cabochons. So I'm going to be using something called a disc duo. These measure 6mm across, and they're the perfect size for that little space. And as you can see, I have a selection of colors to choose from. I think I'm going to choose one of the gold ones. Here it is. You can put whatever bead you want there. You just want to make sure that it's either a cabochon or a bead that's flat, like this one. I'm going to be using some E6000 glue. And now I'm simply going to pick up some glue with a toothpick. You don't really need that much. And I'm going to apply it to the surface. And now let me pick up the bead and drop it right on there. I think it fits really nicely, and it picks up the color of the beads. Of course, you'd want to let it dry for several hours. I usually give it at least 24 hours. But look how nicely it coordinates with the beads. Now before I add my clasp, I'm going to take this to the mirror and see if it's the right length. I may or may not need to remove components, I don't know. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Well, I'm back and my necklace is the right length, so I don't need to remove any components or add any components. It measures about 18 inches. Yours may be different depending on how big your loops are. Obviously, the bigger the loops, the longer the strands are going to be. But anyway, I'm pretty happy with it, so now I'm going to go ahead and attach the clasp. I'm going to use the Finding Starter Kit. I'm going to pull out a lobster claw clasp and two 6mm jump rings. And here they are. Let me open up one of these jump rings. I'm going to connect the lobster claw clasp, and now I'm going to connect it to the strand and close up a jump ring. Let me open up this one now. Connect it to this strand and close up the jump ring. So here's the finished necklace, and I think it's adorable. I think with the right outfit and the right occasion, this is a beautiful piece. So now I'd like to make a pair of earrings. Let me get the materials for that. Here are the materials for the earrings. As you can see, I've already built one. This large bead came from the designer bead mix that came in the box. The ear wire hook is from the Finding Starter Kit. The only things that are not from the box are the ball head pins, the chain, and that little seed bead. That's a size 8/0 seed bead, and I'll show you in a moment what I'm going to do with it. For the dangles, I used the silver spacer beads. I've already built one dangle here. I know it's difficult to see, but the dangle has a ball head pin, and then it has a piece of chain attached to the loop. The links on that chain are very small. I think they're 1.5 by 2 millimeters. And then if you'll notice at the bottom of the dangle, I have the seed bead. And the reason I have the seed bead there is because the spacer bead has holes that are very large, and I didn't want that ball head pin to slide through. So I'm going to build two more dangles. One's going to have just the loop, and the other one's going to have a piece of chain with 5 links. Let's go ahead and finish this one. As you can see, I've already done the loop. And I'm going to go ahead and close it with some wraps. So I'm grabbing the loop with some skinny pliers, and now I'm going to grab the tail with another set of pliers and do a couple of wraps. And now I'm going to cut off the excess pin, and if you see a sharp end, make sure you tuck it in. So this is the dangle that doesn't have the piece of chain. And this third one's going to have a piece of chain that has 5 links. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to load a seed bead. And now I'm going to load the spacer bead. I'm going to grab the pin right where the bead is, like this. Kink it. Switch to this part of the pin. Take the tail, wrap it around the nose of my pliers, flip my pliers around, and continue to wrap that tail to the back, just like that. And now I'm going to slide this first link onto the pin, like this, and I'm going to slide it all the way into the loop that I just created. So now I'm going to grab that loop with my skinny pliers, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess pin. Tuck in the little sharp end if you see one. So now that I've attached the bead to the chain, I'm going to snip off the links that I need. And I need 4 links. So I'm going to snip off this one. So those are my 3 dangles. Here's a piece of 20 gauge wire. I'm going to grab the wire at the top like I've been doing at about 1/2 inch down and kink it. Grab the end with my round nose pliers, making sure that it's flush. Form a loop. Make sure it's nice and straight. And let me thread on the agate bead. And now the large bead. Grab the wire right where the bead is, leaving myself a little space so I can kink it. Line up the bottom loop, kink it, snip off the excess. Grab the wire with my round nose pliers and form a loop. Just like that. Let me make sure my loops are level. And now we just need to connect the whole thing. I'm going to start by connecting the dangles. So I'm going to open up this loop. And I think I'm going to connect the small one first, the one that doesn't have any chain. And now the long one. And now the one with 2 links. It's a little tricky because this is 18 gauge wire and these links are very small, but there it is. And now I'm going to close this loop. And now let me open up this loop, connect the ear wire hook, and close it up. So now we have a pair of earrings to match the necklace. Let me get the beads for the bracelets. Here are the beads for the bracelets. We're going to be making 2 stretch bracelets today. As you can see, I'm using my magic rods. I carry these in my Etsy store. These are 9 inches long. I also carry ones that are 12 inches for necklaces. And of course, if you don't have these, you can just use a beading board to lay out your beads. But I like using these because they have little stoppers at each end, as you can see. And once I load my beads, and get the length that I want, I bring the stoppers in so the beads are up against each other and I can get accurate measurements. But anyway guys, if you're interested, I'll leave a link down below to my Etsy store. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to remove the stopper. And I'm going to start with a bead that has a large hole so that I can hide the knot once I form it. And these silver spacer ones are the perfect beads for that. So let me load one of these on first. And now I'm going to load these gemstones. And I think I'm going to load 5. And another spacer bead. So this is the focal part of the bracelet. And now I'm going to load these 6mm beads. Another thing I like about the rods is that because they're rigid, I'm able to pick up the beads very easily and very quickly. As you can see, I've loaded the beads, and I did put a stopper at the end so I don't lose the beads. And by the way, these stoppers do wear out after several uses. They get kind of loose, which is why I always include a generous amount of bead stoppers with every order. But that's been one of the biggest concerns about using rods. When the stoppers wear out and you're using heavy beads, they tend to slide off and then you lose the beads. So I would recommend that you use a couple of stoppers at each end, or just replace them with new ones. Like I said, I always include a baggie full of stoppers. So the other thing that I like about these rods is that now I can hold these two rods up against each other to see if the lengths are identical. And I wanted to point this out, guys. This one here is a little bit longer, and the reason it's longer is because I'm using larger beads. So whenever you use larger beads, you're going to need a slightly longer length in order for it to fit you properly. And that's because the larger beads take up more space. So now at this point we can go ahead and measure it. And since I already tested my bead patterns ahead of time, I already know that I have 7 inches. Like I said before, this one's a little bit longer than 7. I'm going to be using the stretch cord that came in the Finding Starter kit. So now I'm going to cut myself 2 lengths. Each length is going to be about 12 inches. You want to give yourself enough room to make the knot. So if you cut something that's too short, you're going to be struggling. Now if you're advanced, you could get away with less than 12 inches. But if you're a beginner, I recommend that you cut yourself 12 inches for a 7-inch bracelet. The first thing you need to do is pre-stretch your cord. And the reason we're doing this is because the bracelet will stretch with time. And then you'll end up with beads that have spaces in between. And you don't want that. So that's pretty good. I'm going to add a clip to this end so I don't lose my beads. You can use a bead stopper if you want to. Let me move this one off to the side for the time being. We're going to work on this one. Now to offload from the rod, you hold on to this end right here, and then slowly slide the stopper off. Grab your beads, and because the rods hold the beads in alignment, I'm able to thread more than one at a time. Usually, it depends on how big the holes are. Sometimes it's easier to just do one at a time. But if the holes are large enough, you can certainly do 2 at a time or even more. So let me keep threading all of these beads. As you can see, I've loaded all the beads onto my stretch cord, and now I'm ready to knot it off. So let me show you how I do mine. There are dozens of ways to do it, but this is how I like to do mine. I'm going to take the left side, cross it over the right side like this, and then I'm going to take this end and go over and under and pull. You want to bring those beads together, but not too close because you don't want that knot sliding into the bead just yet. And now I'm going to take the right side, cross it over the left, and then go over and under. And again, over and under. Like this. And now I'm going to pull the ends and the loop at the same time. It's a little tricky. But you're going to pull it and then tighten it up. I like to tug on the ends of the stretch cord and the bracelet as well to make sure that knot is nice and tight. And now we're going to do the same thing again, but this time we're going to take the left side, this side, and place it over the right side. And now take this end and go over and under. 2 times again, like this, and pull. And once again, we're pulling on the ends and the bracelet as well to tighten up that knot. And that's basically it. Let me give you a close-up of the knot. It's a little bit chunky because this is 0.7 millimeter stretch cord, so it's pretty thick. So now we're going to apply some glue. I'm going to be using some GS Hypo Cement. So I'm squeezing a little bit of glue to that tip. And now I'm simply going to apply the glue to the knot very lightly. You don't need too much. You do want to put it on different sides of the knot. Once you've applied the glue, you can snip off the excess stretch cord. And you want to leave a little bit, maybe 1 millimeter of stretch cord. You don't want to cut too close to that knot. So now that we've trimmed the knot, we can slide the knot inside the bead, just like that, and let it dry. And that's all there is to it. Now I would recommend that you don't wear the bracelet for at least 24 hours because you want to give that glue a chance to dry. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish this bracelet off camera, and I'll see you in a few moments. So here are the 2 bracelets, and I think they're adorable. You can wear them separately or you can wear them together as a stack. But I really like the combination of beads, the colors, and they're going to coordinate really nicely with the necklace and earrings. So let me get them and I'll arrange everything on my mat. So here's the entire set, and I'm pretty happy with how everything turned out. The colors are very earthy and very neutral. Initially I was going to apply some kind of patina paint to the pendant, but then I decided not to, and I'm glad I didn't. I actually love the silver tones up against those gemstones. So anyway guys, as usual, I'd like to model the necklace. So let me put it on and I'll see you in a few moments. I really love this necklace. I love elephants, so of course I'm going to love an elephant pendant necklace. Now I have to confess, when I first saw it, I didn't think I'd like it because it was a little bit too big, but I think it looks really gorgeous. But anyway guys, after making all of that jewelry, I forgot one little thing. I forgot to add a giraffe charm to the bracelets. I was actually only going to add it to one of the bracelets, but now that I'm thinking about it, I wouldn't mind adding giraffe charms to both bracelets. I knew I had forgotten something, but that happens when I get really tired and it's very late at night. But that doesn't mean that you can't add the giraffe charms yourself. All you have to do is attach them with 6mm jump rings, and the Finding Starter Kit had a whole bag of them. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope I've inspired you. I hope you can make your own jewelry set. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.